This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Good morning and welcome again to Wish TV's Business, Equity, and Opportunity. I'm Scott Sander. Each Sunday morning we direct our attention to entrepreneurs and small business owners who are looking for direction as they start a new venture or search for ways they can improve and find success with the small business they've already started. Our goal is to provide you with information and resources to develop skills you'll need to help start and run a successful small business. The information comes from business owners, community leaders, and educators who share their experiences and insights in the belief that small business success is good business for all of us. Our content focuses on diversity, equity, and opportunities in the business community. And every week we feature 7 segments covering important topics that are critical to starting and running a successful small business. You can watch the show every week or catch the live stream on wishtv.com. Plus, you can access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. Visit that site often for updates, resources, new segments, and sign up for our new newsletter. Coming up on today's Business, Equity, and Opportunities, we get tips on how to find and retain quality employees. That's in running your business day to day. Our industry focus takes a look at collaborative workspaces that are springing up around our community. And today's success story introduces you to the always fascinating Scott Jones. Known for making voicemail a success, now he's focused on software development and cybersecurity. We like to start each show at the beginning of your journey with a segment we call Getting Started. Each week this segment will focus on the things you should consider and prepare for as you begin planning your business. Those who've done it before tell us one important step is to do your research.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
Getting started in business without a support system in place can be challenging. Carolyn Mosby from Mid-States Minority Supplier Development Council talks about the importance of having a strong support system.
So I think, anyone that is going on the entrepreneurial journey, if you don't have the experience as an entrepreneur, there's a huge learning curve. Most entrepreneurs go into business because they have a passion for something or they have knowledge that they can apply as a business owner. But one of the things that we don't do is do research before we take that jump into entrepreneurism. So that can be a challenge, because if you go into a business that there isn't a market for your particular product or service or expertise, then you're already starting out at a deficit, And so one of the things that we advocate for is to make sure that you do your research, you understand who your customers are or who your potential customers are. And so the challenge of understanding where to find those resources to really help you start your business, sustain it, and grow it, and to really look for those opportunities. Some people have a hard time making those connections, right? And so connecting to organizations like mine and others. And so one of the things that most of us in this space don't do is that we're not very proactive about going out and seeking the minority and diverse entrepreneurs to take advantage of our services. It's a very reactive type of service that we provide, and we really should be more proactive, because if we were more proactive, I think the connection point between those diverse entrepreneurs and organizations like mine and others, those connection points would happen a lot sooner.
What questions should you be asking when seeking a support system? Carolyn has a few suggestions.
I think, what services can we provide, and understanding, they should ask, what do they need in order to take advantage of the services, and how do those services connect with their business goals? Because I tell people all the time, everyone doesn't need to be certified as a diverse-owned company, because you have to understand, 1, what certification is, 2, when you're certified, what does that mean? Who is your potential customer, and do they recognize certification? Do they embrace supplier diversity? Do they do business with diverse suppliers? If you can't answer yes to those questions, there's probably no reason to be certified. Many people that come to us for certification come to us because someone told them to. But at the same time, if you're the business owner, you should research to see if that's right for your business. And again, once you get it, how are you going to leverage it? How are you going to use it? Are you going to be able to leverage it with those potential customers? If not, then it may not be something that you need. And then there are different types of certification, right? So you've got to do your research to understand what certification do you need. Some you pay for, some you don't. Some are only for doing business with government, some are only for doing business with corporate America. So you really have to understand the landscape and then see how those apply to your business, because it is a very cumbersome process. You have to do a lot of paperwork. So why spend the time investing in all of that paperwork to get something that's not going to be beneficial to your company?
Certification for your new business can affect the growth and development of your company. Carolyn continues with more about getting certified.
Absolutely. I think it should be part of your business plan and the plan for the growth and development and sustainability of your company. Because at the end of the day, a brand new company that has $0 in sales and that doesn't have a track record is not going to be able to walk into a major corporation and get a multi-million-dollar contract. That's just not realistic for any business that's brand new. So there's certain steps that you need to take in order to build your business to a point that you're ready to even have those conversations with those type of potential customers.
When we come back, how to prepare before you approach any investor. That's in our Access to Capital segment. Later, what you need to know about establishing a line of credit for your small business. If you'd like more information about today's segments, be sure to visit us online at beoshow.com. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us at beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. This is Business Equity and Opportunities. We'll be right back.
Getting Started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Our next topic is access to capital. That is, how easy or how hard it may be to raise the monetary resources you need to make your dream a reality. So you have a great idea, you've put your business plan together, but you need money to make things happen. How do you go about asking for that money?
From Wish TV, this is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to Capital.
Before taking the steps to secure funding on a new business, there are a few things you should consider. Matthew Murphy III, founder of Emboss Partners, suggests some very important things to do before asking.
So I actually think that process should start before the ask. So again, networking, getting to know a banker or your banker before the need surfaces. Now that's the optimal way to do it, because generally, as much as it probably doesn't sound like it, business owners are really selling themselves and their ability to drive the results necessary for the outcomes that are found in that business plan. So for people to get to know each other, business to business, I think is essential for cementing a good relationship before the lending resources ever come to the table. But having said that, I will also share that having been a former banker, and I've worked for more than one bank, and have worked with bankers of all sizes around the country, actually. There is a common set of metrics that banks think about, whether they articulate it in this way or not. These are the 5. And at the top of the list is called the 5 C's of lending. At the top of the list is character. That has nothing to do with numbers. It has to do with personalities. It has to do with reputation. It has to do with keeping your word and being accountable for what you say you're going to deliver. So bankers are always looking for high character individuals to be, servants of the financial resources that banks are going to ultimately put in. And then the other 4 C's are not in this order necessarily, but one would be conditions. I talked about it just a minute ago. What are the conditions of this business inside the industry that it operates in, inside the geography that it operates in? Conditions are something that bankers look to do research on and understand and play the what-if games as they do kind of some sensitivity analysis around, well, they said that they're going to do X, but what if Y happens? So conditions are important. The 3rd C is cash flow. If you're trying to borrow money from a bank and you don't have positive cash flow, you're probably not going to get a business loan from a bank. So cash flow, it's measurable, and they would like to see it repeatable and sustainable for as long as the money is out the door. Because bankers not only want their money returned, they want a return on their money, which is the interest rate. So the 4th C would be collateral. Does the business have sufficient collateral to give the bank a secondary source of repayment if the first source of repayment, cash flow, fails? So measuring collateral, equity in real estate, the value of fixed assets, on and on and on. Am I at 4? I guess the 5th C would be capacity. So banks spend a lot of time on the numbers and the analysis of the financials to understand the capacity that a business has to borrow the amount of money they're trying to borrow. And what we mean by that is, if you're trying to borrow $100 and your business only makes $10, there could be some doubt about the capacity to make that work over an appropriate, reasonable amount of time. So those are the 5 C's that banks are actually thinking about as they look at businesses to lend to. I think the business plan has to address those 5 C's. Certainly the financial statements have to speak to it in terms of not only the historical numbers, but the projected numbers. They have to be reasonable. And then I think it has to, again, be a relationship that fits both the bank and the business. Not every bank is created equal. Some community banks look for smaller types of businesses to support. We have what we call money center banks, the larger organizations that are really global in their reach, and everything in between. So I think that's pretty much the understanding that an applicant going into a bank has to think about ahead of that first conversation.
Last week in This Week in Business, we introduced you to some new Business Equity for Indy programs that just launched. Today, we'll share details about applying for the Workforce Pilot Program and how you can benefit. That and more when Business Equity and Opportunities returns.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Earlier this week, Business Equity for Indy announced applications are now open for the BEI Workforce Pilot Program, designed to help reduce disparities in the workforce. Now we take a closer look at this very important program.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
Stacia Murphy, Director of Equity, Outreach, and Strategic Partnerships for the Indy Chamber, explains the opportunities that exist with the new Workforce Pilot Program launched this week.
Last fall, the Business Equity for Indy Learning and Talent Task Force published a report that put out some shocking disparities for Black and Brown students in Marion County. For instance, 16% of Hispanic adults and 20% of Black adults over the age of 25 have bachelor's degrees or higher, compared to white adults, which is about 35%. So the percentage of Black high school graduates who enroll in Indiana colleges fell by 12% in the years of 2007 to 2008 school year and 2018-2019 school year. The Learning and Talent Task Force produced a report last fall that talked about some educational outcomes, which are really disparaging. So essentially for Black and Brown students, they don't end up earning as much as their white counterparts, they have different career pathways, and overall quality of life just isn't there. But for companies themselves, we run the risk of not being as competitive, because when you don't have diverse talent, diverse teams, you don't have as much innovation and creativity. Business Equity for Indy Learning and Talent Task Force and effort overall is very proud to announce 2 tools that will help businesses in Indiana region drive some more equity outcomes. So the first one is the Impediments to Health Playbook, which really has tiered best practices that companies can take to drive equity for their workforce. And the second one is an exclusive opportunity to participate in the BEI Workforce Pilot, which is made possible in support of Richard M. Fairbanks Foundation and the Lumina Foundation. The BEI Workforce Pilot is actually taking a culmination of 3 of the Business Equity for Indy task forces: learning and talent, impediments to health, and hiring and promotions, each all put together some recommendations that employers can take. And so each company will choose a set of those recommendations based on where they are, and will work on an implementation plan with lots of support from the subject matter experts. So the learning and talent, which is all about the pipeline, the hiring and promotions is really about what happens when your diverse talent comes into your organization, and then impediments to health, and walks with companies on their way to implementation of those best practices. It's a new 2-year pilot for about 30 companies. Ideal target is about small to mid-sized companies who may need a little extra support in driving some of their equity strategies around their workforce inside their organizations. It will start in the fall, and applications are open and will close on August 31st. But it will start in the fall, and each company will actually put together a project team, which is most likely a project leader who's an executive in human resources with executive sponsorship, and they will spend about 10 hours a month really working with some local subject matter experts as well as national consultant to help drive some of these strategies. One of the frameworks that we employ here at Business Equity for Indy is really about when you solve problems for those that are closest to the problems, it really helps everybody. So a really great example of this is called the curb cut effect. So this is when the disability community advocated for curb cuts on sidewalks. And what we found is when we got them, they benefited everybody. So not just people with disabilities, but the elderly, children with bicycles, people who are rolling strollers, just everybody benefited. And that's the same principle here. It's actually for anyone across all industries, because we all need to do this. We need this groundswell of companies walking in the same direction to make an impact. But our target is small to mid-sized businesses. About 80% of Indy Chamber members are small businesses defined by 50 employees or less. So if you have some employees and you're looking to drive more equity, this is for you. Even though we are asking for a bit of time, this is really here to uplift some of your own talent strategies, some of your equity priorities that you already have. And what you'll leave with is really a whole implementation plan and partners to help walk you through the whole entire process. And we'll amplify your story as part of this, as well as help you to measure impact.
If you'd like to know more about the new Business Equity for Indy program and how you can participate, we'll have all the information on our website, beoshow.com. When we come back, accounting and bookkeeping are among the most important areas any business owner must know about. But how do you know how to make your money work for you? We visit with a local financial center manager to explain exactly what a line of credit can mean and your best way to use it. That's on Business Equity and Opportunities when we come back.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. A solid line of credit can be a valuable tool when it comes to accounting and bookkeeping. We talked to an expert about how to get one and the best ways to use it.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Keith Richey, Financial Center Manager for Fifth Third Bank in Carmel, has been working with business owners for years. He gives us some lessons on how you can utilize a business line of credit as a way to access working capital when you need it.
A line of credit is good, great source of short-term capital needs, and a lot of business owners will come to me and they maybe have an equipment purchase or they've got a specific purchase they're wanting to make and they're thinking that they need a line of credit for that. And that's really not a good purpose for a line of credit. A line of credit more is a short-term capital need where you might be producing some product and it's going to take you a while to collect in your funding. So you want to have that short-term capital need of a line of credit so you can build up that inventory to be able to sell or whatever product that you're offering. A line of credit's a great thing to have for if you're growing, you might have a short-term shortfall in your capital to produce the product, and it's a great thing to have. We like to see a business in business for 2 years before we're going to look to establish a line of credit for a business, just to make sure they're on firm ground and firm footing. Really, I always liken it to trying to feed steak to a baby. You know, if you're trying to, a new business is a baby in its infancy, and if you're trying to give it too much credit or you're trying to lay on debt on that, it's probably not a wise thing at that point. You're better off looking for capital from other sources, maybe some venture capital or angel investors or somebody to help, or a family even, to help you get up and running in the beginning of the business. And then once you get established a little bit, then maybe at that time a line of credit would be good. And we usually look for up to about a 15% of their gross revenue. So if somebody's got $1 million in sales annually, then we can look at maybe a $150,000 line of credit for them. We don't want to get too much out there, but to gauge it by about 15% of their annual sales. The main thing that I try to start with on a new business is to make sure they've got their inflow, like their cash collections. How are they collecting from their customers? Are they collecting through credit cards? Are people paying in cash? Are they getting their payments in via ACH or automated clearinghouse? Are they, how are they collecting their money? And then their expenditures. How are they paying their bills? How are they going to pay their vendors through credit card? Are they going to use checks? Maybe they'll do automated clearinghouse or ACH payments to their businesses. It's good for me to establish that up front with a business to make sure that I'm guiding them on what they're going to need as far as their banking, their elementary banking of a checking account, and then what's attached to that. Whether they use a debit card or they'll get checks and they'll write checks. Online banking is very popular now with digital banking and mobile banking, and a lot of businesses are so digital that they don't even order checks anymore. They don't really need to write checks, but there still are a lot of businesses that use them. It really is a rewarding feeling when you help someone that's got an idea and they come into you and they need some funding and you can help them get financed. And to watch them grow over the years has been very rewarding. To see people that have actually come back 2, 3, 4 years later and they've built up this nice business for their family and they're really helping the community. Well, small businesses drive the community, and they can build the community from the ground up. You have small businesses that are out there taking care of people, and they're taking small business owners and we see them come in every day into our financial center here. And you just know they're out there working hard, and they're out there taking care of people's lives, whether they're maybe a small business owner that's got a siding business or a remodeling business, or a small business owner that's got a small restaurant that they've got up and running, that they're employing 20 or 30 or 40 people in the community, or we've got other businesses that come in here, and it drives the community from the ground up. And a vibrant small business community will make a community that much stronger.
If you'd like to know more about this segment or any from any of our previous episodes, please visit our website, beoshow.com. There you'll find a variety of resources to help you create your own successful business. Also, be sure to sign up for the new BEO newsletter. Still to come on Business Equity and Opportunities, find out how one local business owner is finding and keeping good employees. That's coming up in Running Your Business Day to Day. Business Equity and Opportunities will be right back.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. This week on Running Your Business Day to Day, we get some sound advice about finding and keeping good employees in today's very challenging business environment.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day.
Part of creating a successful business is knowing how to find the right people and keeping them. Cathy Langham, President and CEO of Langham Logistics, knows how important that is. She shares some of the strategies that have helped her continue to build on success.
Something we're doing that's interesting is how we find employees, hiring employees. So I know everyone's looking for good employees, and really we only want A players. So we've set the bar pretty high. We have continued to invest in how we acquire good talent. We've updated our website. The way we post jobs is different. We've included videos. There's a video from me, a video from other employees talking about what it's like to work here. So I feel like we have to approach people differently and look different to them to bring in the right people. And then, of course, compensate them fairly. We have a 30, 60, 90-day plan where we sit down and have a quick review with them and say, hey, is it what we told you it would be? What can we do better? And how can we continue to grow together? Get them involved in the culture club and make sure we have pictures of them, and during our all-company meetings, we introduce the new people. We spend a lot of time thinking about our employees, spend a lot of time touring the warehouse and walking out there or walking in any of our 5 buildings around the country to just make sure everyone feels good. If they're not in this building and we're having an all-company meeting, they're online. The great thing in the last few years is we can have virtual meetings with everybody. So we can see them, they can see us, we can tape it, they can look at it later, we can post it on the intranet. There are just a lot of ways to communicate. The key to everything is communication. This is a time of high turnover, for all of us. So we really have to be diligent about how we're helping our employees grow and feel happy with their role here. And a lot of it is around listening to them, adhering to your core values, listening, teamwork, respect for each other, and people have to feel respected or they won't stay. Ongoing training, we've got a cornerstone program, software program, where we assign training every quarter to each employee. Because really, I believe that at the end of the year, you should be able to update your resume and have learned new things, and that's satisfying to our team. We have something called the Culture Club, which is every month we do something, whether it's pumpkin carving contest or ice cream or chili cook-off or whatever, to help our teams feel that we care about them. We're looking out for them. Of course, fair compensation and just continuing to thank them and be part of their lives and care about what's happening in their lives. Really, that is the biggest thing. People want to feel appreciated, and in this day and age, more than ever.
Up next, our industry focus this week that looks at cooperative workspaces, a growing trend that offers affordable workspaces and a way to network and share resources with other small businesses. That's coming up on Business, Equity, and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sanders.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Many small businesses are taking advantage of the benefits of a cooperative working environment. Shared office space can mean a huge cost savings in equipment, personnel, and rent. And many people find working in a community setting offers priceless opportunities to network. We take a look at some of the options in today's Industry Focus.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
We had a chance to visit two of the many shared workspaces that are finding success in Indianapolis, COhatch and Indy Maven. Each are providing valuable opportunities for small businesses to grow in cooperative environments.
One of our partners in this endeavor to create the foundations and the infrastructure to support startup sustainability of black businesses is COhatch. So COhatch, we're here today, is a co-working space. Two brothers from Columbus, Ohio, who just entrepreneurs who saw the need in their community as far as having a space where entrepreneurs could come together, not taking on the overhead of getting an office space and a building space and carrying that. You just have a space where it's a small office space, but you're around other entrepreneurs. You share resources, share ideas, but it's within your community, right? You don't have to leave that. So they decided to come to Indianapolis and sat down with us and talked about how do we make this available for minority entrepreneurs, minority businesses. So for years in Indianapolis, there have been conversations about co-working spaces, but we were dependent on the city, and the city wanted to create one, but the city was wondering, how do we keep this sustainable? If we spend the dollars up front, we're not going to keep spending the dollars, so how do we keep it sustainable? But a private entity with entrepreneurial principles around it has built a space that's going to be sustainable, but accessible to the people that need it the most as well. So emerging entrepreneurs, emerging business owners can't operate in a vacuum. They need to be around an environment that fosters entrepreneurship, right? Risk-taking, ideas, supports, marketing, accounting, insurance. Like, I have to be around those environments so that way, one is it limits my cost to start a business because I'm sharing resources, but also an environment that encourages entrepreneurship, right? You need those days that you just need a pat on the back. You need the days that you just want to feel like you're not crazy, right? That your ideas actually could work. As an entrepreneur, being around those spaces, being around that kind of environment encourages and fosters growth. So the thing about entrepreneurship as well is, entrepreneurship is hard. Starting a business is hard. A lot of businesses fail. But even if you do fail, the one thing that doesn't leave you is the entrepreneurial mindset. The mindset of solving problems, taking risks, right? That mindset also is not prevalent in a lot of our communities, right? So entrepreneurship is really the path. Starting a business, the gig economy, so many things, so many opportunities today. But how do we teach and create those spaces here in Indianapolis? If we're gonna build something from scratch, which is what we're doing when it comes to supporting and accelerating Black business growth, there's no playbook, right? So we're creating a playbook. So we can't create that playbook based on yesterday's ideas. We have to design for the future and create an environment where there are new ideas and new ways of doing things. So we have a unique opportunity to lead that. Spaces like COhatch, where we are today, drives that. You walk in here and you're around nothing but entrepreneurs. Everyone is trying to solve a problem, is trying to generate capital, is trying to generate revenue to build their businesses. So when you get plugged into that, entrepreneurs and people who want to start a business, who have great ideas, get plugged into this kind of infrastructure, it fosters growth, it encourages them. So we're so grateful for our partnership with COhatch, because they've brought something to Indianapolis for years that the city has been trying to create. Today, in less than 2 years, they've built 4 of these spaces. So we're excited about the partnership. We love coming in here. We just feel smarter when we come in. I tell people you win championship by being around good players or playing with good players. And environments like this have nothing but good players and nothing but entrepreneurs that help drive you as well.
So at Cerulean, we focused on serving youth, women, and communities of color. So when I was looking for an office space, it was very important to me to select an office that had a strong network of women, honestly, folks who I could identify with personally, but also maybe support the growth of their brands. The networking was key. At Maven Space, they prioritize women and creating a space that has a room for nursing mothers, as I will soon be. And also they have events that provide networking opportunities with community members. I could have easily chosen to get a standalone office space in a office building in any part of Indianapolis, but I wanted to be at the heart of downtown in community with other women business owners at that, who understood not only my struggles and we could support one another, but also provided me an option to network and grow and provide support to them as well. When you choose a collaborative workspace, a co-working space as they're often called, the benefit of that is if you're encountering a particular challenge, you might have someone sitting right next to you that could solve that problem. So maybe you are at the coffee bar getting a refill on your tea or coffee, and someone overhears you having some chatter about, man, I just hit this wall, I'm not quite sure what to do. They might find a team member or a friend or someone that they also don't know very well, but know enough to refer them to you. And you guys could have that collaboration in that same day, over that same cup of coffee, in that moment, not having to schedule a meeting, not having to do research, not having to wait on a referral. You're in the room with the person that can help you get over that challenge. So I think the benefit of being in a collaborative workspace is really just providing you proximity, to others who can help you grow. At Cerulean, we focus strategically on building community. We believe strongly that we're better together, and by helping each other tell their stories and really connect with their audiences, we're able to help them grow. And so I want people to know that marketing is not complicated. A lot of times they overcomplicate things, and it's really simple. It's all about finding your tribe. It's all about finding those who are interested in what you're serving. And so we are simplifying that process for people by providing them access to resources through our graphic design team, our photography team, our videography team, our copywriters. We're a one-stop shop. And so as a full-service marketing and PR firm, we really position individuals to excel. And that's how our commitment to our mission statement, "We're Better Together," really was born. It's about helping one another grow.
Coming up next on Business Equity and Opportunity, Scott Jones gives us a tour of his 1150 Academy and shares his own remarkable success story. Stay with us.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. We've covered several ways to help you create your own successful business. Now, in Success Story, we offer some inspiration.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
This week, we explore how software genius Scott Jones went from working at MIT, creating a voicemail company and countless other inventions, to founding the 1150 Academy, a nonprofit that's teaching the next generation how to be successful software developers and cybersecurity experts.
In terms of how I got here, there's the entrepreneur side of me, which I did a lot of things as an entrepreneur as a child, including lemonade stands and haunted houses and door-to-door, all kinds of things, putt-putt courses and carnivals and all that. But really, early on, dabbling in tech, my scoutmaster was a computer science professor in 1971, which was almost unheard of. But here was this scoutmaster who lugged along a laptop that was, half as big as me. And I started to get interested, and I learned about bits and bytes. And then, but I thought I wanted to be a doctor. So I went off and studied chemistry and biology and physics and math. And in my third senior year, I decided to take a computer science course, and I just fell in love. And I always recommend to people, because I did it, like, do the thing that you're most passionate about. And I just fell in love with it and never looked back. So started to take all the computer science classes I could take at IU, started to help the professors with their computer systems, followed one of those professors to MIT's Artificial Intelligence Lab, started to work with the father of AI, the guy who created the Roomba, and a bunch of other really smart and famous people. And I got close to them in my early 20s. And when I went to MIT, I wasn't a student, I was a research scientist, but I decided I'm either going to do a degree or I'm going to start a company. And so I ended up meeting a guy from Harvard, and he brought the understanding of government to the table, and we were looking at the divestiture of AT&T, and AT&T was going to be allowed to do email and fax and voicemail. And so he knew all that stuff, and I knew the technology to build practically anything. And so we coupled up and started a company almost 2 years after I started at MIT. So in my first company, which I was 25 and my partner Greg was 26, we met in a study group. He was at Harvard and I was at MIT. And we had lawyers, and we were trying to write expert systems that could write contracts and put lawyers out of business. Well, we were in this study group for about 6 months and decided, we could do this, but we're probably going to get sued and never be able to start a business anyway. So Greg and I said, we seem to work well together. Let's start something. And so we started exploring things from, I had all kinds of ideas, and he had all kinds of ideas. So there was this thing, you know, with AT&T, divestiture of AT&T, biggest company in the world is being broken up into 7 baby bells and a long distance company. And he had been studying that divestiture at Kennedy School of Government at Harvard. And he said there's going to be a lot of opportunities for doing all these diverse things like email and voicemail and fax. And so we went to some trade shows, and there was voicemail before me. But I looked at it and I said, I can do better. I can do a lot better. And so I went off to Walden Pond and sat there and I thought, how would I do this better? Coming in with fresh eyes, which I always recommend for entrepreneurs, is don't be afraid of businesses that you don't understand yet, because you actually have an advantage to have fresh eyes on something. And so I took that perspective, you know, with this 2 industries that have grown up separate, telecom and computers. And I was figuring out, how am I going to merge those together? And that turned out to be the core of some, if I don't say so myself, some pretty brilliant patents that changed the industry. So it's my version of voicemail, just like Edison wasn't the first light bulb. Mine was not the first voicemail, but it was the one that 2.5 billion people used. And so we explored that together, figured out we could do it better, competed against 30 companies, ran circles around AT&T themselves and IBM and all the Silicon Valley darlings as a 25 and 26-year-old from Harvard and MIT, taking on the world.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of Business Equity and Opportunities. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, inspiring. You'll find more information about today's show on our website, beoshow.com. A reminder, every week we provide 7 full segments, each designed to offer topics of interest both to business startups and those of you who are currently operating a small business in our community. Topics range from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. You can access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beoshow@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for watching.